Hi, this is Ego, and welcome back to the Whole Bean podcast. I turn 31 tomorrow, making today my last day as a 30-year-old, and it also marks my official entry into my 30s. So much has changed in 1 year, some of which are a little unnoticeable, like within my body and my outlook on life. You can really measure some of those changes, and it can be really easy to lose track of all the ways that you change and you grow if you don't stop and check in on a regular basis. So I like to do a monthly and a yearly check-in to see how things are unfolding for me. So let me fill you in on what 30 was like. Turning 30 was fun. I had been looking forward to it for a really long time because I don't know, it meant so much to me. I think it's the first time that I will say I truly feel like an adult, which might seem strange because you're an adult for most of your 20s, but there's so much figuring of things out, like coasting blindly through life that happens when you're in your 20s. So turning 30 to me I just always knew that it was going to be a year that changed things for me. Not necessarily externally. For me, it's in here. That's where most of my growth happens, and I love that. It was also the most selfish year that I've had, and I say that in the best way possible because I think I finally started understanding what it really meant to put myself first. And by doing that, I was able to show up for the people that I love in more quality ways. But it also sank in this year that part of the reason why I would get exhausted being around a lot of other people is because deep down I felt responsible for their actions. So I unlearned a lot of that this past year, that I'm not responsible for anyone's happiness or healing or their growth. I can only control my actions. I can only provide support as much as they are able and willing to accept. But outside of that, there's very little that I can control. When I no longer feel responsible for the experiences of other people and how they feel around me, outside of the things that I am able and willing to do and how I choose to show up and human among other people, that was great. I learned a lot this year, but there are two things that stand out for me. Number one is you have to pace yourself. You have to pace yourself. I learned that really hard this year. You don't have to be everything at once, and you don't have to do everything at once. You can pace yourself. I promise you the world will still be there in the morning. Whatever goals you're setting, they are yours. Your timeline is yours, and you have to set them based off of what you have going on and what you know that you're capable of and what you're able to do, so that you don't extend yourself and burn out. Pace yourself, babe. The second thing is that who I am is worth celebrating. I learned that. Who I am is worth celebrating. Who I've become is worth celebrating, because with all the things happening around and all the situations that I've been through and all the people that I've been through, there are so many other ways that I could be, but I choose not to. And that is worth celebrating every day. I'm very grateful for who I've become, who I am becoming. What has changed significantly in the past year? Not much. I'm kidding. Just kidding. I think for the first time in my life, I'm actually thinking of myself as a cool girl. And not in an Amy Gone Girl, cool girl type of way, but in a like, damn, I'm a really cool person. I'm a really cool girl, a really cool person to be around, or for other people to be around, because I like being around myself. For the first time, I'm convinced of that. And 16, 17, 18-year-old me would be very surprised to hear that, I think. I'd be very surprised to hear that, because when I was younger, I thought of myself as interesting, and I loved being myself. Like, I've always loved the eyes through which I see the world. That has always been fun. I find everything fascinating, and that in itself is one of my favorite traits. Whenever anyone asks, there are so many different things that are exciting to me. And over the years, when I'm sharing how enthusiastic I am about something, I find myself apologizing for it. Almost like, I think I'm being too much, because it's rare. Not that it doesn't happen, but it's rare to find someone who is just as easily captivated about a bunch of nothing. But I don't apologize for it anymore. It's not something that I think is worth apologizing for. And more recently, I've come to see it for the gift that it actually is. I see the world in color, and I know how to lend my heart to the enjoyment of things and of people and the things that we are able to create and all the ways that those things that we create make us feel. So I now realize that not many people can do that, and not many people have the same level of enthusiasm, or maybe it's curiosity, but that is absolutely, absolutely a gift. Unfortunately, sometimes when you're that sensitive to the world, it means when things are gray for you, they're really dark and gray, and it can be far from enjoyable. It's really hard, but the payoff is absolutely worth it if you want to experience the best parts of life and all the beautiful things in life. You open yourself up to the good, you open yourself up to the not so good as well. That's the deal. What advice would I give my younger self? I really think I could answer that question for all the different milestone ages that I've had over the years, because I've needed to hear different things at different times. Like, we all need different things at different times, right? But if I could go back and give my younger self some advice, I would tell her that all her worry and all her uncertainty about how the future is going to unfold and all the things that she doesn't know, all that worry doesn't mean something bad is going to happen. And even though she's worried about things that are concerning, she's most likely worrying in vain, because things work themselves out, sometimes not in the way she expected them to, but they do work themselves out. And I will tell her that older people just look from afar like they've figured things out, but even they haven't figured things out yet. They're just older. I will tell her that healing and unlearning all the weight of having to live in survival mode, unlearning all of that takes time, and that she deserves all the time that it takes to heal, that there's no end to the process. So there's no point in rushing it or making it seem like something that she has to achieve. Because when I was younger, I think I was scoring myself on how good I was living life based off of how I was responding to certain situations. I would tell her that being sensitive is a good thing. It's a good thing because no matter how she cuts it, she's going to be too much for some people and she won't be enough for other people. So she should loudly and proudly enjoy the things that she enjoys, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And the opinion of other people is not an invitation for her to shrink herself or to try harder. I will tell her that she has not met all the people in the world who will love her, who will like light up her world, and whose world she will have the same effect on. Because that is something I was very concerned with when I was like 2021. I was moving around a lot and I just got scared that I was leaving all my friends behind, and wherever I would move to, I wouldn't find new people. But that's not true. At multiple ages, I found the most amazing people. And I tell that to every young person that I meet now that is concerned about the same thing. You have not met all the people that will love you yet. You really haven't. And if you open yourself up to it, people come in all shapes, forms, and sizes, and they will love you in all shapes and forms of sizes, in ways that you didn't even know that you liked to be loved, that you liked to experience people. It really is, it's a blessing if you open yourself up to it. And I would remind her that she's here to experience life. She's not just here to achieve things. The experience is way more important than all the milestones that she's being taught to tick off the imaginary boxes of adulthood. And life gets hard. Life does get hard, that is true, but she'll have more good days than bad days. So in the end, it all kind of sorts itself out. But mostly, if she can take all that feeling of uncertainty and fear and find ways to turn it into magic in a way that she redefines it and expects that a miracle is going to happen, as opposed to being uncertain because she's scared that the worst is going to happen, that would be game changing for her. That was huge. That was huge for me. And that she's going to have the desire to do many things that are out of her comfort zone. So if she starts practicing having courage early in the small things, it'll get better with time. And that being courageous enough to live the life that she wants to live doesn't mean I will wait until I stop being afraid, but it means I will feel afraid, but I will do it anyway. There's nothing wrong with doing it scared. There's nothing wrong with doing it with a little shake at the beginning. It's perfectly fine. I spent way too much time waiting for fear to disappear or to dissipate, because I thought, the feeling of courage would come over me and then I would feel bold to do the thing. But that's not the way it works. You have to do the thing in order for the courage to come, right? It's going to sound cheesy and kind of basic, but for the most part, I'm grateful for my family. and my friends and the network of people that I have around me, even my coworkers and in all the things that I do. And I'm grateful for my resilience. I'm typically a very easily frightened person, but I do many things that are outside of my fear. And I don't take the time to really let that register that I am doing very great things that are way out of my comfort zone. It doesn't have to be big to other people. It just has to be a great thing for me. Your victory is yours. And I think sometimes we compare the little things that we do to other things that people do. So it makes what we're doing seem basic, but no, facing your fears, doing things that are out of the ordinary for you, that's not normal. Most people don't do that. Most people go their entire lives without doing that. So if you're doing it, you should celebrate that. I love that I have proven myself to be capable of change and courageous enough to make the changes that I need to make, to change my mind, to change my ways of thinking, the ways that I have been taught to view people, to think about things, about situations. I love that I have been bold enough to stand strong, to stand and speak about the things that I believe in. And I love that I try. I love that I try no matter what the outcome is. I love that I try and I know that I have tried. And I think at the end of the day, that will always be enough. And if you made it this far, thank you. Thank you. And wish me a happy birthday in the comment section. I don't know what the new year is going to bring, but I am excited and I'm hopeful to see it all unfold, even with all the sadness and the craziness that is currently happening in the world. So happy birthday, Amanigo. I'm very proud of you and I love you very much. And I will hopefully see you next year.